So I've got the chat up and we should be good to go. I'm just gonna quickly send you guys the link and then we'll start.
Okay, okay. What's the link? What's the Outlook?
It's on. Okay, it's just a YouTube thing, so I'll send it to your phone
Okay,
numbers.
okay.
And then if you guys want to post it before we get going, and then yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So both of you should have the
Okay,
link. It's a picture of me for now. I'll change it in a little bit.
okay.
Um,
Okay, so if I put this, it's gonna go live. I'm gonna go live on mine.
yeah, it'll be. I can. It was on Restream. I had to. I can send you the recording after. I can record it all, and then send you it, and you can post it on yours. Cause Restream
Yeah.
wasn't working.
Okay.
Yeah,
So just wait to post it.
yeah, and then
Okay,
I'll.
okay.
I mean, you can post the link, and people can watch it live, or if you can
Yeah.
wait. If you want to watch it
I'm just gonna.
yourself, okay,
Yeah.
okay. So I'll start broadcasting. Someone just said go Seahawks.
That was me.
Oh, all right. I'm gonna post the link, and then we'll get going.
Oh, Cameron.
Cameron
Why?
Price. He
What?
might be joining, so
Okay. Yeah.
yeah. So we'll see if he does join. Okay. Ready, guys?
Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
Graphics coming down. And we are live. Welcome, guys. I'm Jay Costa. I'm here with Wil Gilhooly and Matt Malchiodi. How you guys doing?
Doing good, man. How are you?
Doing all right. Well, Will, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. We got an exciting Super Bowl coming up. It's been a great weekend in sports, man.
Yeah.
Nothing much more I could ask for.
Hell yeah, man. And we haven't really done anything like this before, so just to introduce us, I'm Jay. I go to Seton Hall University. I'm a junior sports media major, and this is kind of something that I've been doing for a while. Do you guys want to introduce yourselves as well?
Yeah, sure. My name is Matthew Malchiodi. I'm a junior as well at Seton Hall University. I'm a VSM major with a concentration in sports media. And yeah, I mean, I'm just very excited to be, demonstrating like my talent and such to the world. Yeah, and then I'm Wil Gilhooly. I'm a freshman journalism major here at Seton Hall University, just getting started out in the sports media business.
Well,
Awesome.
let's get right into it. We got a big game, Seahawks, Patriots. I grew up in New England, so, even though I'm a Giants fan, I'm rooting for the Patriots, and we'll kind of go for our game picks and a little more analysis later on. We got about 30 minutes to get going here, so why don't we just start out? We're in Santa Clara for the Super Bowl, and the weather's looking fairly nice tonight. So, what is your analysis for the area, the storylines, everything like that, boys?
Well, I'm going to let you go ahead and start us off with this one. Yeah, I think there's a lot of interesting storylines, and I feel like both of these teams were kind of constructed from like throwaways more so. Like you see, Stephon Diggs was released by the Houston Texans following his ACL tear. No one really gave him a chance. He had years in Buffalo to get there, and now he's back with the big bad Patriots, who gave the Bills 7 years to win it all. They still couldn't do it. So Diggs has now joined the Patriots, and he has gotten to where the Bills couldn't go when he was on that team. I think that's a very interesting storyline. Another thing that I thought was very interesting, especially seeing how the playoffs moved along, is that Cooper Cup he beats his old team in the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams say, "Hey, Cooper, we love you, man, but you're getting old. I think it's time to retire and pack it up." And he says no. He scores a touchdown on the team that just flat out released him after winning their first Super Bowl in a long time. And Cooper Cup has done a great job with that. Sam Darnold is another guy to mention. Like, it's just a team of a lot of rough riders. I think that's a huge storyline. Is that one of these throwaways is going to end up with a Super Bowl title tonight? Absolutely will. And I feel like, especially with Stephon Diggs, I mean, I've been watching Stephon Diggs ever since he's been on the Minnesota Vikings. That whole miracle in Minneapolis. That was amazing. I mean, I always wanted the best for Stephon Diggs, and I feel like this is you know, his big chance to actually, go out there, get himself a ring, a much deserved ring, probably one of the most deserved rings, if you ask me. But
One thing I am worried about is the fact that this game is going to be in Santa Clara, and I just don't know like how like the Patriots are going to be able to adjust that time. I mean, they've been practicing a lot. Obviously, it's the Super Bowl, but I mean, the Seahawks are used to this time already, and the Patriots might be a little bit jet lagged. So we'll see how that works with the big game when it actually happens later tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more with both of y'all's sentiments. I think the big thing for this storyline is really going to be the preparedness for both of these squads. We always talk about a Mike Vrabel squad, and even we'll talk about head coach of the year, often a coordinator of the year, Mike McDaniel's, and the way that not Josh McDaniels, excuse me, the way that they prepare their squad is just completely different from around the league, and you always see this high level of preparation from a Patriot squad, a Mike Vrabel led squad, a Josh McDaniels led squad. So the preparation is for me is the big thing for the New England Patriots. And when it comes to Mike Macdonald, I mean, this is his first Super Bowl as well. Both these guys' first Super Bowl as a head coach. And Mike Macdonald, my big thing is how is his defense going to hold up? He was a spectacular defensive play caller with Baltimore, and he's been a spectacular defensive play caller with Seattle. My big thing is how is the defense going to hold up for Seattle? Not as much worried about the offense, and I'll talk about how I feel about Sam Darnold a little later, but that's going to be the big thing for me.
Yeah,
It,
I mean, I love those storylines right there. I think that's very interesting to know. I think it's going to be a very defensive contested Super Bowl. And also, you talk about this is a grass field. I feel like we haven't spent as much time talking about the weather. It's a grass field out here. This is different. I know last year there was a ton of problems with the turf fields. I believe the last couple Chiefs Eagles Super Bowls, there's been so much talk about turf fields and how it's causing these receivers to slip. I believe it was 2 3 years ago now it would have been the first Chiefs Eagles Super Bowl that we had. Man, State Farm Arena, like what in
yeah.
the world was going on with that turf field?
Oof.
I think it's great that it's finally outdoors again. I think that honestly the grass fields are a lot safer. I think that's something to know for tonight.
Yeah, and I have the notes right here for it. This is not to get into my little grass nerdness, but it's hybrid Bermuda grass, which we haven't seen in a couple years in a Super Bowl game. It's the first Super Bowl on outdoor grass. There was a couple on indoor grass since Chiefs Buccaneers in 2021, and it's the 32nd total Super Bowl out of 60 to be played on grass, indoor or outdoor. So it'll be very interesting to see this playing surface and how the players are going to be on it. We had a couple issues. I don't know if you guys remember in Sao Paulo a couple years ago with the Eagles, and I think it was the Packers with the injuries, and that was on a grass field. So I'm interested to see what the media outlook will be on this during and after the game, as well as just what the precedent this sends, especially with a lot of stadiums switching to grass fields since the World Cup is coming this year.
One thing I quickly want to mention before like we move on is that I feel like games being played on real natural grass is becoming sort of a lost art. Uh, Especially with like all these new stadiums, like all these new fixed dome stadiums, like Nashville, they're getting one for the Tennessee Titans right next to Nissan Stadium. I believe the Chiefs also are getting one. They're in talks about that, and then there's new talks for the Commanders on the old RFK Stadium site that is going to be a dome. And really, it's just we're seeing this trend because most of these cities want to be able to host, like these cold weather cities want to be able to host the Super Bowl and larger events like the Final Four and such if, in NCAA.
Mm-hmm.
But really, it's really glad that, like I'm really happy myself to be seeing like a game on real like natural grass, especially because with all the problems that we've seen with like
Yeah.
turf fields and such on stadiums, especially Will, you mentioned the State Farm Stadium turf, so I definitely agree with you on that.
Yeah, and I think that's very important. We'll see kind of the stadium changes go on, and I want to move on to another game line. I'll bring up a graphic here about the Latin representation in this game. Our guys Gabe Garcia and Manny Pereira couldn't make it to the production today, but one of the big points they talked about was this Latin representation, and that's especially for Gabe, it's a very big part of his identity. I know he's very excited to see Bad Bunny in the halftime show, and we've got a lot of guys. And what is the representation for them mean for this game and the outreach to the greater world for football?
I mean, I think it's very key that we start appealing this game to more of a Latin demographic because you've seen the NFL they started doing the foreign games back in like the early 2010s, but it wasn't as much global as more as it's basically just going to go NFL Europe. Like we're going to go to Madrid, London, Berlin. That's not really global. Like if you want football to become a global game and to really have an impact and make it so that multiple cultures are becoming involved to where this becomes a worldwide sport to like the level of soccer, baseball, basketball, like all of this stuff. I think it's great that the NFL is starting to do that. You've seen they've started going to games in Brazil, and Mexico. Like this is great for the game, and especially to get more different backgrounds and cultures involved. The more cultures that become involved in a game, the more can tie people together, which is honestly what sports are meant for. Sports are meant to tie people together. It's a great part of cultural identity. I know the Super Bowl is a huge part of American culture, but getting it to a global audience would just do so much good for the game.
Absolutely, Will. And I feel like it's a great step in the right direction for the NFL to be representing the Latino community as well. Because, I mean, it's a very easy game to like understand as well. Because really, if anyone hasn't watched the football game, you could just basically say, "Oh, you just need to cross the yellow line that's on the TV and then just get into the end zone." So it definitely has that understand like ability for many people to understand the game, and it is very important to be representing. It brings lots of more viewership to the NFL, which is always good. It also means expansion in the future for the NFL, which we love to see. So yeah, it's definitely very important that the NFL is focusing as well on Latin American expression as well. So,
Yeah, I was just checking the audio, my bad boys, just to make sure we're all good, but I completely agree, and we'll move on to kind of talking about the teams individually. What do you say we start off with the Seattle Seahawks, and then we'll go into the New England Patriots? So I want to start off by talking about something that has been kind of a topic conversation within our circles, has been what I've been coining as the papal prophecy. There's been 3 different times where a pope's been elected since 2000. And in each of those 3 times, the Seattle Seahawks have been the 1 seed, had a 3-loss season, so a 13 or 14 win year, depending on the schedule. And on top of that, made the Super Bowl. 2005, when Pope Benedict was elected, they went 13-3. They made the Super Bowl as the 1 seed in the NFC, and they lost to the Steelers. 2014, obviously, when Pope Francis was elected, they won the Super Bowl with Seattle, with Russell Wilson, and they were the 1 seed, 13-3. Now this year, Pope Leo's elected from Chicago, the first ever American Pope, and what do you know, the Seattle Seahawks are 14-3, the 1 seed, and they're in the Super Bowl against the New England Patriots. So a very cool, way to keep this going, where I think a lot of people thought that maybe it was something that wasn't, it was coincidence, but there might be an actual correlation. The Seahawks just might turn it up every time a pope is elected, and it feels like, the 3 of us all go into a Catholic school. We need to mention that. So I want to hear, about the Seahawks in general, what you guys have to say about this Seattle team going into the Super Bowl.
Yeah, you talk about the papal prophecy, like this is kind of like an ESPN Ocho type of graphic right here. But the way the Seahawks have been playing this year, it's kind of hard not to compare a little to that 2014, 2015 team. Ultimately, they did play the Patriots that year. It wasn't the outcome they wanted. They're going to try to rewrite that today. And it starts with the thing that cost them the Super Bowl last time. You need to run the ball. This Seahawks team has done so well in the RPO game right now. Like you saw, Indiana just won a national championship in college football doing this, and Seattle is a very similar style offense to the Indiana Hoosiers. They don't have the offensive line necessarily that's going to blow you away like most teams who kind of run this offense do, but they do a really good job. Kenneth Walker is incredible in misdirections. They like to line all the O-linemen up on the left side. They like to kind of misdirect him because they know he has the speed where if he has just a sliver of a crease, he's going to break that off for a lot of yards. And I think it's also interesting to note how Sam Darnold has recently played. Sam Darnold It was a bit of a spotty regular season. Most of the year, I'd like to say 14 interceptions to 25 touchdowns. It's a solid ratio, but he relies on his playmakers, especially the Emerald City route runner. He's expected to have a really big game today, and they use him in so many different ways. He can go long, he can go short. I think it's going to be interesting to see if they use him as a decoy tonight, especially against especially against a group that is having some injuries from the linebackers perspective. I think this is a very dynamic offense, and it's all going to start tonight with how they establish the run game, because ultimately that's going to dictate how they use the Emerald City route runner, JSN, in their pass game.
Yeah, I mean, what I was going to say is that I definitely, whenever I think of Seattle, like as a football team, I always think of more of their offense rather than their defense. I feel like Sam Darnold has been like the perfect quarterback for this team. I mean, like you said, he can throw it far, he can throw it short. I mean, he's pretty much the perfect quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks, in my honest opinion. Uh, for the game and like how they perform in like the game itself, I feel like the first half it's going to be a pretty like low to medium like kind of scoring for these guys, and I feel like one thing to mention is that I feel like New England actually does have a little bit of a better defense, but we'll get to New England in a second. I definitely do think that Seattle's offense can definitely counter New England's defense, in my opinion. So, uh, but yeah, as I said before, I feel like the game for the Seahawks, it's going to be like a lower to like the medium outcome, like for scoring for first half, and then really after like the second half, the third, and we'll have to just see like who gets lucky and can get more scores and better passing, better running as well.
Yeah, I completely agree. And, when it comes to my analysis, I do want to start with the running game because, Will, you are 100% right. This running game is going to unlock the pass game for Seattle. We've talked about Kenneth Walker, but, I want to mention Zach Charbonnet because he's injured this game. He's on IR, and a lot of things that I think people think when they think of this running back room is that Zach Charbonnet is kind of the dominant force in that backfield when his touchdown numbers were a lot better in the regular season, but ever since he went down, it has completely unlocked Kenneth Walker to that guy that I saw at Michigan State and the guy that I saw in his first and second year really as the starter, and I think he's finally come to life again. And you don't wish injury upon a guy, but man, has he just come out and come alive in the postseason since Charbonnet went down. And I'll bring up another graphic with the Seattle Fab Four is what I'll call it. They called the Beatles the Fab Four. We've got four spectacular pass catchers in the pass game for the Seahawks. Cooper Kupp, who we touched about in the beginning in his storyline. A.J. Barner, who's the most pressed tight end in the entire league at 5%. And Rashid Shaheed, who set one of the fastest times in the league. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And of course, the Emerald City route artist himself, JSN. And man, it has been a great season for Jackson Smith-Njigba. I believe he took home the Offensive Player of the Year award. So just a great season for him. I could be wrong, and you might need to correct me on that, Will or Matt. But he had a great year, and man, he just so impressive what he's been able to do this season. And he was never looked at as that top dog coming out of Ohio State. So what he's been able to do this season has really blown my socks off.
Yeah, just to clarify for you, Jay, he indeed did. He did win Offensive Player of the Year. I personally still think that Puka Nacua should have taken it home. I feel like his splits were a little better in one last game. I mean, the reception totals are kind of hard to argue with, but that's not the focus of today. The focus of today is seeing how Seattle is going to match up with this Patriots team. And what's interesting to note, the Patriots are the #1 deep ball team in the league. And Nick Ebenwari was just spotted on SportsCenter a few days ago limping to his hotel room. This is a guy who Tom Brady labeled as his defensive rookie of the year. Mm-hmm. And that is huge. The Seahawks defense was a little spotty against the Rams. You saw Puka had quite a game. Matthew Stafford threw for 340 yards against the team. That is the most exposed that they have been this entire year. They have a really good secondary featuring Devin Witherspoon, who has also battled injuries. They have Reek Wallen, who's been playing solid. Julian Love, I think, is the most underrated person when talking about this game. But ultimately for the Seahawks, the key to stopping New England is not letting them get their run game going, because when they don't get their run game going, they like to force stuff. Drake May, while he is rightly so an MVP candidate and finished second in this year's voting, he likes to press the ball deep. This is a Patriots team that has really good deep route runners, and the fact that the secondary is a little banged up does scare me a little. But I think that Mike McDonald, who is the primary defensive play caller for the Seahawks, fun fact, if the Seahawks manage to win, Mike McDonald would be the first ever head coach to win a Super Bowl as his team's defensive play caller. I think he's going to adjust. Nick Emanwari was removed from the injury report, which is huge for Seattle, because if they are able to match up with this Patriots team, which I think they will be able to do, the Patriots don't really run a lot of the same slant schemes that the Rams do. I think that this is a much better matchup for them scheme-wise than the Rams were. I don't really buy into all the statistics that they're saying that, oh, the Seahawks defense just got exposed. Like, are they really as good as we think they are, or did they just catch the Rams and the 49ers at the right time? No, I don't think they caught them at the right time. I think this defense is just as good as people are saying they are. They're just as good as they are rated. And I think they're really going to prove that tonight, especially getting these guys back healthy.
Yeah, well, I was going to mention Emanwari as well being injured. You obviously don't want like any like player getting injured on the team as well, and like especially your safety. That's really important as well for your defense as well. But one thing I will mention is that I feel like, despite all the injuries as well, I do feel like that Seattle is going to like provide some strong defense as well. Probably not, in my honest opinion, probably not like as strong as like the Patriots probably will, but I can definitely see like some fight as well for Seattle tonight.
Yeah, and the defense I think is such an important thing to touch up on, and I wish I could talk more about it, but to keep time's sake, I'm gonna quickly touch on Sam Darnold, and then we're gonna transition over to New England. So quickly, I'm going to put up 3 graphics real quick on the screen. Everybody can still be seen, but we need to talk about Sam Darnold here. And this was, our guy Manny Pereira is a huge, huge Sam Darnold guy. So I want to quickly talk over his storyline here. And, I think the 3 of us are very familiar with it. For those at home, I mean, USC to the New York Jets, and he struggled at the New York Jets. Then he gets traded to Carolina, wasn't the best fit, sits in San Francisco, then comes to Minnesota. 14 wins, the 1 seed, a spectacular season for the Vikings, and then they let him walk for J.J. McCarthy, and now he's here in the Super Bowl. And this is the same guy who was seeing ghosts versus the New England Patriots a couple years ago. His career stats versus New England, he's got 1 touchdown, 11 turnovers, he's got 5.8 points per game, and he's 0-4. But the way that he's played this year, and in the playoffs even, no turnovers in the playoffs, it's been spectacular. So before we transition over, let's just talk about Sam Darnold real quick.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, Jay, like this is, like I said earlier, this is the Super Bowl where the throwaways are here to shine. And he is a perfect example of that you should never give up on a guy too early. I am a firm believer that young quarterbacks deserve a system more than they deserve like just teams just recycling that. Like you see teams like Bryce Young, he's finally got an offensive line that's capable, and look what he's doing now. You see the Bears with Caleb Williams. Obviously, he struggled in his rookie year, but they did the right thing, and they are building around him. They're not just going out and signing a bunch of receivers. They're starting with the offensive line, which is something the Jets didn't do. The Panthers also didn't do for him. And when the Vikings finally gave him everything that he needed to succeed, he did. I think that's a huge thing for him. I think he's going to prove tonight why the Jets should not have traded him and should have actually done the right thing and built around him rather than for him.
Absolutely, Will. I mean, what I wanted to mention quickly is that, especially like since he came from like so many teams, I mean, this guy is pretty much like just looking for like any shot he can to prove himself, like to prove his worth to the league as well. And this is his big moment. I agree with you 100% that he is going to go out on that field tonight and prove to the Jets why he should not have traded him. And what else was I going to say? I mean, when Seattle gave him like pretty much everything, like you said, when he needed to succeed as well as Minnesota, like you mentioned. Uh, Everything just clicked. Everything, like all the cogs were like spinning in the right places as well. So it comes to show that it's like that team chemistry is really important, especially if you want to build like a Super Bowl team. So I'm glad that they managed to put everything together and build a superstar team surrounding Sam Darnold. Well, so
Yeah, and I'm gonna take our cameras off for a second as we transition. Let's talk about Drake May and the New England Patriots, and I've got a comparison graphic between him and Sam Darnold. When we talk about it, they're in such different places in their careers. And as we transition to the Patriots, Drake May is 23 years old. It's his second season. He's only been on one team. 6,670 career passing yards and 46 career touchdowns to Darnold's 20,431 yards and 123 touchdowns. And man, you really don't see a Super Bowl matchup like this where, it's very hard pressed where you see a really young guy and a really old guy. Usually these quarterbacks are around the same age. We did see Burrow Stafford a couple of years ago. We saw Brady Mahomes, but I really feel like usually the quarterbacks are in around the same type of their careers. But man, Drake May has really come on this season, and we'll talk about his stats, right now and where he's kind of come from. So, what do you guys have to say about the passing game for New England? And then we'll go into the defense after.
I mean, the passing game for the Patriots is going to be very crucial because, as we've seen throughout the playoffs, despite they have played some really good defenses, they have not done the best job of running the ball so far. You see, Ramondre Stevenson, he does lead the playoffs in rushing yards. He's only averaging 3.4 yards per carry, and Travion Henderson is averaging a measly 2.6. Ball security has been a very tough thing for the Patriots. So I think it is very important that Drake May, who has been rehabbing his shoulder a little bit, is coming out and they're going to design a pass-heavy game for him. I think that is very important. Drake May has proven that he is very good at extending time and buying time for his receivers. So I think receiver play is also going to be very huge because the Patriots like to throw it deep a lot. But as we mentioned when talking about the Seahawks a lot, because of how good this secondary is and how good this safety play is, that's not going to be a for sure option for the Patriots to go with this whole time. I think that if they have guys like Diggs and Kayshon Boutte, if they're able to translate their excellent route running abilities and able to do some more RPOs, they're going to need gimmicks in order to beat the Seahawks. This is an experienced team. They're not going to be fooled with what the Patriots have been doing and throwing it deep to guys like Kayshon Boutte. I think they're going to need to rely a lot more in the short completions, kind of doing what Tom Brady and those teams did. And Vrabel was on that staff when those teams were in their prime. I think he's going to need to call on a lot of those plays again in order to kind of expose the Seahawks team, which really has their biggest weakness in the middle linebackers. And I think that's going to be something huge for the Patriots to do tonight.
yeah, I mean, with Drake May, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure his completed pass percentage is around like 72%. So he absolutely can pass as well. I feel like you said, Will, they're gonna not be fooled by like the long passes as well. So I feel like if they can mainly focus on like just getting shorter passes, just getting short passes to their teammates as well, and just worry about like getting first downs, not going like all Hail Mary and such. I feel like that'll definitely benefit the Patriots tonight. But honestly, we'll just have to wait and see around 6:30 our time.
So I will bring this graphic up real quick. Talking about Drake May's completion percentage, he had a 72% completion percentage this season. That ties him fifth all time with Drew Brees. For context, Drew Brees has the first, second, and tied for fifth place. He had 74.4% in 2018, 74.3% in 2019, and then he's fifth with 72% in 2017. Tua Tagovailoa is also up there, and Jared Goff, both from last season with 72.9 and 72.4 respectively, but still really good company for Drake May. And I'll throw up his season stats as well. Drake May had a spectacular regular season. I think because of the shoulder injury that you mentioned, Will, he's kind of dropped off a bit. He's, fifth in the league for completions, 12th for attempts with 452, and he had 354 completions. Fourth in the league for yards at 4,394, and he was third with touchdowns with 31. And man, what a season Drake had. And, there's a reason why he was up there for the MVP, but Will, you made a good point with this rushing game as I bring up the Ramondre graphic here. And the big thing for me has been that carries, the yards per carry. 3.8 yards per carry is abysmal, especially when you consider that Roger Stevenson is far and away the leader in the playoffs for rushing attempts with 51. And he's also first barely for yards with 194. So you really have to be concerned about the rushing game, and New England needs to unlock that in order to win this game. And I think it's a winnable game, especially when you consider the injuries and everything. So that's the big thing for me. And one last thing I'll touch on before we go to the defense has got to be the receiving room. Now, Travion Henderson was also up there. He was 6 with 22 miles per hour. Kyle Williams is a blazer, and I loved him. I do a lot of draft analysis, as you two know, and I've been doing it for about 6 years. Kyle Williams is one of those guys who he's got that speed, man. Like, you can just see it. 21.79 miles per hour was the ninth fastest speed on the season, and man, he can just burn. And if they can, he's not their number one guy by any means, but if they can get him going for a play or two, there's no reason why he can't be a big contributor here. But that's the big thing with this receiver room, and I'll bring up the final graphic for the offense is what I call the power of friendship. There's a multitude of wide receivers and tight ends on this New England Patriots offense, and they all are in the mix. There's no one definitive guy. They're all kind of in there, and they're mixing it up, and they're getting it together, which is very interesting and I think very important for the way that this team functions. So it'll be very interesting to see how they go up against the Seahawks defense. And, we'll talk about defense, and I know you're a big guy with the trenches, Will. When it comes to the New England Patriots defensive front, what's the most important thing, in your opinion, for them to do besides just getting to the quarterback?
Yeah, the most important thing for the Seahawks to do tonight is stop the run. The Seahawks are going to want to establish the run first. We know that. We've seen them play these last few games. They want to get Kenneth Walker going. They're going to have a bunch of gimmicky misdirection plays to start. And the Patriots' middle linebackers have been banged up. Robert Spillane has been hurt recently. I think that is huge because if you give Kenneth Walker an ounce of space, and especially if you're having problems at the linebacker position, I know Harold Landry has also been hurt. If you're not able to tackle him early, he is going to be running for 10 to 11 yards consistently. If you are not able to get him down early, that is going to be a huge key for them, because if you are able to stop them up front, and let's say Spillane and Landry, like these guys are doing a good job of containing Kenneth Walker, then that's going to make Sam Darnold have to pass. The Patriots' pass rush has been the best in the playoffs so far. They have been incredible at getting to every single quarterback they have played. I think that the Patriots' defensive line does not get the flowers it should. This is an incredible veteran unit that has put up great numbers in the playoffs so far. Chason has 3 sacks so far in this playoffs. They have been incredible at all levels. And Sam Darnold is not one of the best quarterbacks in the league when he is under pressure. And you're going to have to make him get into these third and longs where he can't dump it off to playmakers. JSN is incredible in space. He's not a very big guy, but he uses space well. And if you're able to make Sam Darnold have to throw it deep, I mean, that's what's going to ultimately win the game for the Patriots. So my key for the defense, stop the run up front. Linebacker play has to be on point today. And I think if the Patriots execute that, I think that Sam Darnold and the Seahawks offense are going to have a really hard time moving the ball.
Yeah, well, I completely agree with you. I mean, stopping that rush is going to be the most important thing for this team tonight, especially with how fast everyone is on the field. It's going to be a crucial moment for this team to, stop the rush as well. What I will say is that Sam Darnold, like when he's under pressure, like you said, he definitely can fold under pressure a little bit. So if you're the Seahawks, you need to make sure that your defense is on top of your game tonight, no matter what. Like, you cannot let any rush come in, and you got to make sure that your quarterback can view his routes and see his men perfectly fine. So that's what will challenge New England tonight on the field. I think.
Yeah, and I'll say one more thing about Kayvon Chason before we get to the secondary. And I loved Kayvon Chason in his draft process back in 2017. He was my sixth rated prospect overall, and I am so happy for what he's become in this league. And he had a long journey himself. Obviously, was kind of fodder in Jacksonville, and now he's a super important part of this New England team in a contract year. And I hope that they do bring him back because man, he is such a fun and toolsy player to watch. But I think we have to get into the secondary now. This is one of the most important guys in the league, in my opinion. And for me, he's the second best corner in the league. And you did a lot of convincing on me, Will. Only behind Devon Witherspoon from the Seahawks is Christian Gonzalez. Christian Gonzalez is a spectacular corner, and he's really a rock on this defense. Now, for some context for the graphic on screen, when targeted, Christian Gonzalez is a 39.0 passer rating. If you spike the ball into the ground every single play, your passer rating would be 36.9. So you'd have a better passer rating doing that than throwing the ball every play to Christian Gonzalez. So that I think speaks levels for the kind of player he is. And boys, with a guy like this shadowing JSN, what does this matchup and the rest of this secondary bode for you tonight?
Man, I think this is another test to if you stop the Seahawks run game, then the Patriots could ultimately run away with this game because if you are able to stop them up front, then you're not going to have to make Christian Gonzalez guard Jackson Smith and Jigba one-on-one every time. Yes, his passer rating is incredible when he's being thrown against. However, he does give up completions. His completion percentage he's still giving quarterbacks almost a 60% completion percentage. So he's not allowing much yards. But what's so dangerous about that is Jackson Smith and Jigba is arguably the best receiver when he gets space. And it scares me a little bit if Christian Gonzalez is going to give him a little bit of space. Could that turn into disaster? Like, I worry if Smith and Jigba gets that space. So I think if you stop the run, Gonzalez, I'm not worried about him when he's guarding Smith and Jigba when JSN is going like 10, 20 yards beyond the line of scrimmage. I'm more worried about the quick routes because if you're able to stop that run game, then you're able to guard all these guys double covered. And yeah, I think that's going to be huge for this game.
I agree. I feel like that's going to be most important as well. Not going to lie, I completely lost my train of thought. I'm so sorry, guys. Not going to lie.
All good. And before we get to our game picks, this is I think the moment we've all been waiting for. Shout out to our resident Cowboys fan. We've shouted him out a lot, Gabe Garcia. Tommy DeVito, since 1997, has now officially been to more Super Bowls than the Dallas Cowboys. And I just had to mention that as a Giants fan. Before we got to these game picks, I couldn't let it go unsaid. So shout out to Gabe. I wish you could be here, man. But let's get into our game picks. I want to start with Matt because we've been starting with Will a lot, but go through your analysis, a quick analysis, and then tell me who you're picking for tonight's game.
Thank you. I'm definitely just going to be picking Seattle to win this game tonight. The reason why is because I just really want to see Sam Darnold finally get that ring that he deserves. I know Stephon Diggs on New England also deserves it, but I feel like I feel like Sam Darnold definitely deserves it because of how many trials and tribulations he's gone through as well. And also, this is definitely going to be some bias on my end. I'm going to be completely honest with you guys.
Do you mind if I turn on the light real quick?
I don't want to see New England that record of 7 rings over 6 points. So.
Yeah, I think that a lot of the keys for this game is going to be which coach is going to put their team in a better position to succeed. When I'm picking games, I've got a strict criteria. What quarterback do I trust more? What coach do I trust more? What team do I trust more? Now, I definitely do trust Drake May in this. Drake May has proved to do really good under pressure. He's been pressured the most times out of any quarterback in this playoffs. And I do like him a little over Sam Darnold in that if things go wrong. But the problem is I do trust Mike McDonald a little more, and I definitely trust the Seahawks as a team more. I am picking Seattle because I worry that New England is a run-first team. the Patriots run the ball almost as much as any team in the NFL. I think they run the ball. I think they ran the ball the most times in the regular season, if I'm not mistaken. And I worry that this team has become a little too one-dimensional offensively. Like if the Seahawks D line, which has been winning matchups all postseason, wins again, I mean this is a Patriots team that with the Seahawks secondary, they can easily guard one-on-one. Like, dude, Devin Witherspoon is going to easily guard Stephon Diggs one-on-one. This secondary is going to have their way with route runners like Matt Collins and Kayshon Boutte. These streak routes just aren't going to work. I know Drake May is very talented, but I just don't think that's going to make up for that. And I also doubt that with the injuries to middle linebackers that they're going to be able to slow down Kenneth Walker. I think this run game is going to do very well because, especially at the beginning of the games with these misdirections, I just don't know if they're going to be able to adjust in time. And if you give Kenneth Walker an ounce of space and you have linebackers who are playing hurt and are not going to be able to tackle him as well in the open field, good luck trying to stop him. This pass game is going to be able to get opened up. They're going to have to start guarding Jackson Smith and Jigba one-on-one. Cooper Kupp is one of the best route runners in the NFL still, despite his age. That's going to be a matchup nightmare one-on-one. And I just like the Seahawks because they're a little more multidimensional. I'm going to take the Seahawks to win this game 27-13. That's my score.
Ooh. Now,
Really?
yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Really quickly, I just wanted to mention my final prediction for the game. I'll get to you in a second. I promise. I apologize for interrupting. But I feel like this is going to be a very close game tonight, and I feel like the final score that we're going to see tonight, we're probably going to see a final score of, maybe, I want to say maybe like 28 to 21.
Mm-hmm.
So 28 to 21, or maybe 28 to 24. So.
Now, I feel like we can't let this analysis before, go unsaid. New England Patriots have the 32nd ranked strength of schedule in the league this year. 11 games versus sub 500 opponents, and they were 2-2 in games versus playoff teams. One of those games being against the 8-9 Carolina Panthers. Now, with that being said, this is the New England Patriots we're talking about. This is the team that since 2000, since Brady was drafted, they have never lost a Super Bowl. They've been a clear dog in. We're talking against Carolina in 2004. We're talking against the greatest show on turf in 2001. This is a team that has battled through adversity, and when they're the clear underdog, I'm getting flamed by my friends, but when they're the clear underdog, they are... Oh. What is... Hold up. Are we serious? My apologies, boys. I'm back. Of course this happens. Hello. Are we really doing this right now? God. Well, they're not in the call. I don't know where they went. But with that being said, the New England Patriots are my Super Bowl champions. And yeah, that'll be it. And I'm sorry that this happened. And yeah,